And of course,
Oh, we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Members Talk Live. Now, normally this is what we do on the members page for the 299 tier. You guys can watch this live. We edit it, put it up on Monday. But for this particular episode, I thought it would be great to go onto the main channel, give these guys more of a platform to really show themselves, their personalities, their channels, and also a chance for you guys to ask questions because we've got a wide variety of YouTubers here. Some have been doing it for years, some are newer to it. Subscriber counts vary, but we all have something to offer and something to bring to the table talking about YouTube and our experience on YouTube. And for those who have just started YouTube, maybe have smaller channels, maybe are thinking about starting YouTube, you can also throw in your questions. We'll try to answer them the best that we can. Full disclosure, we are nowhere near experts on YouTube. YouTube is a
Amen.
flux that's always changing. So we may not be able to answer every single question that you guys have. Your questions may become our questions, but we're going to try and give the best advice and help out as much as we can while also sharing our stories and experience on YouTube. And I also want to put a disclosure too. Everyone that's on the thumbnail may not be able to make it today. There's some people I still haven't heard from. They may pop in later. They may not show up at all. So don't call me out for false advertisement. Don't call me out for false advertisement. And with that said, let's we've got some people in the chat here. We've got the laser. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining us. The horror dude, Toxic Gamer, Nathan's Random Movies. Toxic Gamer's at his sister's wedding currently. So thank you for joining us for that, man. And yeah, we'll definitely get into comments and questions later on, and we'll answer some of your questions. And I just want to start though with your guys' stories. I want to hear why you started YouTube, what got you into YouTube, why did you decide to put yourself on the internet and throw your opinions out there? And I want to start with UT. Why YouTube? Why was that your avenue? Why did you decide to go there?
So I started out doing TikTok videos. I had what I call the ride home reviews. I would drive home from a movie and I would just record my thoughts on my phone. And I started putting those on TikTok and IG. And everybody kept saying, you got to get on YouTube. You got to get on YouTube. And I just thought that YouTube was too much for me. Because I would see the like I always watched Jeremy Johns, right? He's hilarious. He's a big time movie tuber, big time YouTuber who does movies, and his looks professional. Chris Stuckman, that's another guy whose name, but he has this wonderful studio. That's all I remember. He does videos and he has this beautiful studio. And I was like, I don't have any of that, so I'm not gonna do it. Then one day, I just decided to do it. I said, you know what? I bought a camera, and I was like, all right, let's do it. And then I realized that cameras don't make good YouTube videos. You know, you gotta have lighting, you gotta have a good mic, you gotta like so. Over the year, I think I've been doing it a little bit over a year. I've just pieced together different things. And you mentioned this a few weeks ago that I always had a different background because I was piecing together things to try to make it all fit. And I think this fits now, but it's still not done because I've moved my lights. I've done a whole bunch of different things, and hopefully it just all comes together one day. And that day is probably gonna be the day I stop doing YouTube. When it all comes together, it'll be like the last time that I do it. But I just it's something I love. I've always watched movies. It's my passion is watching movies. It's my zen place. It's where I can go get away from the real world, and I love talking about it. So did the YouTube channel, and I love doing this where I get to talk back and forth with other people who love movies.
Absolutely, man. And I will say, I want to give you some flowers because since we have started or since you jumped onto members, your lighting has gotten incredible since then. Like where you're at right now with your light, like you look great right now. You're beautifully lit. I love the way that your room is coming together. It looks great. So yeah, you've come a long way, even just like the little bits that we've been on members. So congrats, man. That's awesome. And Ryan, if I remember correctly, you just had an anniversary on YouTube. How long have you been doing YouTube for?
I've been doing YouTube for over 2 years now. I started
2
in
years, nice.
October of 2021.
Right, okay.
I know the exact date, the 10th of October. That's the day I reviewed the James Bond film, No Time to Die.
Oh, that's awesome, man. And what made you turn the camera on? What made you jump on YouTube? Why'd you do it?
Well, I think sort of like T said, I love movies. I've always loved them. Like, I think the first movie I ever loved, or rather movies, was Star Wars on VHS. And my
Yeah, man.
background just fell over, but whatever. Anyway, and I guess also why, sort of a combination of factors, really. Just people over the years saying, hey, you really love movies. You should do YouTube. I had friends in, like, I have a few film classes I took, especially in college, where we'd always talk about movies, for class, and they'd say you should do YouTube. I have a friend, because what happened was for Christmas I got this thing called the Movie Critic's Notebook. It was a Christmas gift, and my inaugural review in the book was the Wonder Woman 1984 movie, and it wouldn't be until the October of that next year that I would start. And oddly enough, it was because of an economics professor, because he gave the advice of how, just whenever you're doing something creative, you should treat it like a job, and not wait to be inspired. Because if you treat it like a job, eventually you will get better. Trying to wait for inspiration and feeling like you need to be inspired and immediately be sort of like what T said, Jeremy Johns, Chris Stuckman level quality. That's not how it works. If you've seen my first video, I had no idea what I was doing that first time.
I think we can all relate to that. You should see some of my first videos. I have like pictures that just come in. Like, I'm not overlaying them. I'm not talking over them. I'm talking, and then a picture cuts in, and it just sits there for like 10 seconds. And then I go back to talking because I didn't know how to put pictures over my voice, but I wanted pictures in the video. So if you want to listen to 10 seconds of dead air while looking at Loki getting choked by Thanos, that's what I had going on. Yeah, you learn with experience, and you just kind of go with it. But Ace, how about you, man? You've been doing YouTube how long, and what got you started?
I'm going into year 2. I just had my
Nice.
1-year anniversary March
nice.
10th, which is Super Mario Day. I just coincidentally just happened to
Ooh.
be wearing a Mario shirt as well.
Nice.
That was when I dropped my very first video. What got me into YouTube, I've always been sort of an entertainer. I started off with doing music, songwriting as well. And from there, it kind of like escalated into hosting and emceeing, live events, weddings, stuff like that. I've always been into that. Dabbled a little bit into acting, but I've always been super passionate about sports and movies. Those are two things that I constantly talk about on a day-to-day basis with various people, throughout various group chats, I'm saying, really big into the MCU, and it has made me lifelong friends that, I am, totally grateful for. So one day I just decided, you know what, I gotta switch things up. Sometimes you get into a little bit of a rut in life, and you're like, you know what, I gotta go for it. You know what I'm saying? So people have always said you should do your own channel. So then one day I just decided to take like a 2-month hiatus from a lot of things, and then I decided to go ahead and just jump right into it. And I'm like, okay, what do I want to do? I want to do sports and movies because that's what I love to talk about. And that's pretty much how I got started. And from there, it's been such a great experience where I've got to meet a bunch of great people, such as, yourselves. You guys have been absolutely amazing. And it's an experience that I'll never forget. And I'm grateful that, much like, Miles Morales from across Into the Spider-Verse, sometimes you got to take that leap of faith, man, and just jump in and just do what you got to do. And since then, like I said, it's something I could see myself doing for the rest of my life.
That's awesome, man. And
That's
I
great
also,
to hear.
I don't want you to blow past this because I think that this is really important. You say you're going into year 2 and you've crossed 1,000 subscribers. You crossed 1,000 subscribers in your first year, man. Like, that is incredible.
Thank you.
That is incredible. Like that, like, you really pat yourself on the back for that
Appreciate
one, man.
that.
I think I was like 4 years into getting 1,000 subscribers. And like, this is one thing too that I also want to kind of talk about here, because I feel like there's this perception of like, oh, if you have 1,000 subscribers and like someone has 100 subscribers, you guys are in different playing fields. Like,
No.
the 1,000 subscribers is different from the, like, no, not at all. Like, the subscriber count is really just a number, and I feel like that's really all it is, because whether you have 1,000 subscribers, 2,000 subscribers, 100 subscribers, we're all dealing with the same kind of stuff on YouTube. YouTube is unforgiving. It doesn't matter who you are unless you're like Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Johns, who've been doing these for years and years and years, and we're kind of like the pioneers of it all. Like they kind of started this whole YouTube thing, talking about movies. That unless you're one of those guys that were like way back in the day, YouTube's unforgiving. Doesn't matter how many subscribers you have. It's a work in progress every single day. So with that, let's move on to lessons learned from YouTube, because I feel like, once again, kind of going back to that perception, no matter where your subscriber count is, no matter how many views you get, everyone has lessons to contribute. Everyone has lessons to bring to the table. I guess I should kind of talk a little bit about my beginnings as well, actually, before we get into this, because I started YouTube in 2019, much like Ryan. I know it was oh crap, now I forget the date. It was January 18th, I believe. It was January 18th, 2019. And kind of similar to T, I was doing I was doing movie reviews, or movie thoughts more so, on my Facebook page. Now, I always chatted about movies to people. I always talked their ear off. They got annoyed. And some of them actually, I had a friend of mine tell me once, I didn't used to talk about movies like you talk about movies, but in order to stay your friend, I needed to, because I needed to understand what you were saying. So he learned to talk about movies the way I like to talk about movies. So I was always that kind of guy, always that kind of person. And I would put my thoughts after I watched the movie onto Facebook, just for my friends and family to read. And much like T, I got, you should do YouTube, you should do that. Like, I was freaked out about doing YouTube, putting myself out there and letting anyone just, because I think the common perception about putting yourself on YouTube is that you're going to get hate in the comments, which going on to a kind of a lessons learned, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, because I've been on YouTube now for 5 years, and my hateful comments or people being negative towards me have been very minimal. Now, maybe I'm just blessed and lucky in that way, but that would be kind of something that I would kind of say to people is, like, if you're afraid that people are just going to like roast you on your first video, I wouldn't worry about that as much as people tend to think that you should. Because I put out a video review of M. Night Shyamalan's Glass. I went and saw Glass. It was like at midnight. I got out of the movie, and I was just kind of like, I have more to say about this than I can write on Facebook. And everyone's telling me to start YouTube. So what I'll do is I'll put this video out on YouTube, and I'll share it to Facebook, and then I'll never do YouTube again. Because people are going to tell me to go away and don't do YouTube again. And what ended up happening was the reception was actually really positive and really nice. And people were like, I can't wait for the next one. These are friends and family at the time as well. I can't wait for the next video that you're going to put out. So then I was like, okay, I'm not really doing much. I'm not going to university. I just got out of high school. I'm going to work. I'm coming home, watching movies, going back to work. My life is going to get it in a rut. If I can put YouTube into this, maybe that'll be a little bit more exciting. Maybe that'll add something new to my life. So I started doing YouTube, and the first videos are awful. The first year, I would say, is more or less awful. There's some videos I look back at and I'm like, you know what? I'm actually kind of proud of that turned out. But for the most part, I'm like, yikes. Maybe I'll say I started in 2021 and we can just forget about 2019 2020. But yeah, no, I started just posting regularly, and then people who were not friends and family, in fact, friends and family dropped off. Like, it was like, I can't wait for the next one. And then eventually they were like, I'm not going to watch everything that you put out. Sorry, man. So then I had to like rely on people I didn't know, finding them and coming into the comments. And when that started to happen, that's when YouTube got really exciting. And that's when I was kind of like, you know what? I think I'm going to keep doing this because I'm having fun. And it seems like some people at least, are enjoying this. So that's kind of why I started. That's kind of why I started doing it as well. And so going on from that, going back to lessons learned, T, what's something in your journey, your experience on YouTube that, if you were to go back and to yourself when you were just about to start YouTube, what's something that you would say like, hey, you don't know this now, but during my journey, this is what I've learned, and I'm going to tell you about it?
Thumbnails. That's one of my biggest lessons learned.
Yeah.
I took them for granted. So I never really got on YouTube. Like, I don't have dreams and aspirations of being like a social media sensation or anything like that. Like, I don't think
Which is probably pretty
I,
healthy, if we're being honest.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I got on here. I just love to talk about movies, like, and I love the conversation piece of it. Right. When I was in the military, and I started a podcast for that. It was because I was retiring from the military. I didn't know what my next chapter was going to be, but I wanted this to be part of it. This is a way I kept social. This is a way that I, because I like water cooler talk is a real thing, and I would talk about movies. We would be doing PT, and I'll be blabbing about the movie I watched on Friday, and like over the weekend. So that's my outlet. Um, so thumbnails, like I recently, I think it was last week, I just was looking through my views, right? Like just all of the videos that I posted
Mm.
in the old, and it was because of I did a Meet the Movie Tubers with Kenny Sparks,
I
where I
watched it
was.
this morning. Excellent
Thank you.
interview. You were really great. And Ken, I commented it, but I want to say it in case you're watching this back or if you're here. Your editing on that was immaculate. It was so good. And the pacing on it was great. And I'm so excited for Movie Tubers season 2. But go on. Sorry, T. Go on with that.
Oh no, it's fine. What was out there? Oh, talk about thumbnails. And I was looking at some of the view, and like I would say like my first 7 or 8 months, I would just do the algorithm thumbnail of just like a picture of me during the video, and it always be making a weird face because every time I talk, I'm not a very photogenic person, so it always be these weird pictures and I would try to find the best one out of all of them, and it just never looked good. And then I went on I finally found Canva, and I started doing thumbnails, and I noticed a little bump, right? Like a little bump, but it was real rudimentary, and it just did not look, it looked okay, but it didn't look great. So then this year, at the beginning of this year, first movie, Beekeeper, I went into Canva, and I was like, how do I make this stand out? Right, and I found and it just so happened, I think the beekeep like that yellow like really popped, and I put big words, and that video got, I think that video was at 1,500 views, like, and that was huge for me. I'm talking about like that
That's
first
awesome.
year, I was at like my most, I think anyone but you got 100 views, right, and that was like the most. um and it just I was getting 10 views, I was getting 9 views, like, for a lot of my videos, because they just like, I don't know the algorithm, I will never pretend to know the algorithm, but ever since I changed my thumbnail thing, like, I'm constantly at least getting 100 views for my like, and I don't know how long people stay on it, but they're at least clicking on it and getting to see my face, right? And then my face becomes a little more, and now I have a steady background, so they're not seeing, because that was another thing. I just had different, like, it was a different view every time you saw me, and it was a different color shade, like it was a different color grade, and it always looked different. And I was trying to just perfect it. Not saying I haven't perfected now, but I think that I'm closer now than I was a year ago. So, but the thumbnail thing really changed the game for me, where I got to see steady, more comments, just a steady stream of people going to the channel. Not saying I have a lot of subscribers, because that's the next challenge, is to figure out how to get people to subscribe instead of just view. But
Challenge for us all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that.
Well,
yeah, the thumbnail thing, I think, really changed everything, and that's when it because now I get to be more creative, right? It's me going in every week and trying to figure out how to be creative, and not like clickbaity, but just like something that's visually appealing for me, like, just so like, oh man, I think this is gonna catch your eye because it's a cool picture, right? And it's a cool
Yeah,
movie, you know.
yeah.
absolutely, man.
It's always weird with thumbnails though, because like some thumbnails will hit more than others. So it's like, they're very important. You want to follow some sort of structure, but you just don't know. It really just depends on
Yeah.
the reach and how YouTube is going to push it out for people to be able to see it as well. That's a big factor. But like you said, thumbnails are very pivotal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
No, I loved
and
all that.
and also like the title that accompanies them. Like when I just did my reviews at first, it was just insert movie title here and then review.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. It's not false advertising, but I mean, I eventually learned, like, I think there's one YouTuber, I think Tom Sky's the one, you know, would put out like a video a week and, you know, do that one weird thing you never knew about, but once you see a thumbnail for it, it's like, I have got to know about this now. And so I was like, okay, maybe I could get a little creative. I first started off, you know, with Dr. Strange Love. I would put movie title and then, or how to insert cool thing here. Sometimes I would reference an actor's name. Sometimes I wouldn't. It sort of depended. And right now I've gotten to like a little thing where I try to say something funny and then, you know, movie review. Yeah.
I've noticed that. Yeah. And I like that a lot. I think it makes your title stick out a bit more. I liked when you did May the 4th be with you, and then you reviewed not Star Wars. What was it? Oh, Kingdom of the Planet. Was it
the Fall Guy.
Fall Guy. That's what it was. It was like May the 4th be with you. Fall Guy review. I thought that was kind of funny. I clicked on it. Just want to let everyone know too, because we got quite a bit of people in the chat. So thank you guys so much for being here in the chat. We're gonna have an advice segment coming up here soon. So if you have any questions about YouTube, if you have any questions you want to ask us, maybe about our experience or something you're trying to figure out, drop it down in the chat. We'd love to answer it a little bit later when we do our advice segment with you guys, and we'll get into the chat a lot more during that section. But before we get there, Ace, lessons learned. What's something, I mean, you just crossed 1,000 subscribers. You're going into your second year. What's something that if you could go back and tell your younger self before you start YouTube, I want you to know this, that I've learned? What would that be?
Believe in yourself. Believe that you're you and that's good enough for people. You know what I'm saying? Because the biggest thing that can kill not just a YouTube channel, but your confidence in general is self-doubt. Like what Zach was referencing earlier, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to put the video out there because you're going to be afraid of criticism, but the overwhelming support that you will get and the community that you build will fully outweigh the small criticisms that you do receive. You know what I'm saying? But then at the same time too, you could also take that as constructive criticism. Like if someone gives you a critique, like if you're just like, okay, I want to know, like, oh, this channel sucks or whatever, you know, I've never gotten any of that, but I'm just saying this channel sucks. I'm like, okay, if I'm on live stream, why does it suck? Oh, it just sucks. Oh, your opinion is invalid. You're if you're not giving any, you know, you just seem like you're hating a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But that's what happens. People will be toxic at times, but you just can't lose faith in yourself and your product that you're trying to push, because everybody here has over 100 subscribers. That community believes in you. That's why they subscribe to you. They like you. So just continue to be yourself and people will flock to you. You just have to be genuine.
I love that. That's really good. I think what you're saying there is like, don't forget the you of YouTube.
Yep.
I think that's great.
That's a good thumbnail.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Forget the you of YouTube.
Put that on a bumper sticker.
All right. Maybe I'll use that. Ryan, how about you, man? You're 2 years in, and what's something that you would tell yourself when you started? Hey, make sure you know this before you go in.
I guess a few things, but I guess one that's coming on top of my head is editing. Like, editing is your friend, younger me, because I feel like at the very beginning, because I was actually a bit inspired. There was a John Green video he put out, and he talked about his issues with stuttering and how when he does his videos, he edits them out. But in this one particular video, he wanted to show the more unfiltered side and show his struggles. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I don't want to do editing style. I'll just like do it like stream of consciousness style. And again, for a while, for the resources I had and the time I had, I was in college at the time. It worked fine, but looking back, it's rough to watch. And I'm proud that I was like, I decided to start like making it into bite-sized chunks. Like I try to read like what I've written. I do letterbox reviews, and so I sort of use that as a basic outline, and then take a pause, a few seconds. I can edit that out and then go again. And yeah, I think editing there, big lesson for me. And also, I think just to that end, you know, don't worry if you don't have a structure or style. You'll find one as you go along.
That is brilliant advice, because that took a really long time for me to find. I tried so many different things. I guess like yeah, I guess like for my lesson to my younger self would be kind of similar to like going along with don't forget the you part of YouTube. Don't forget that the social part of YouTube. Don't forget that YouTube is a social media platform, or at least in ways it is as well. And I think networking and I think that getting connected with people is a huge part of YouTube that I feel doesn't get talked about enough because,
Mm.
you know, and I'm not talking about, going to Jeremy Johns or going to Chris Stuckman's videos and leaving a comment of the thousands of comments that they have, like contributing to that. No, I'm talking about go and find the person if you're just starting. And it takes some digging. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not the easiest thing to do, but like YouTube does have filters in their search, and you can change the filter. You can change it to things posted in the last hour, things posted today, things posted this week, and that will filter out some of the bigger people because the bigger people they get their stuff out, like they go to the premieres, they go to the early screenings, they get it out like the day of the movie coming out or the week of the movie coming out. But if you're just starting out and you want to find people around your size, change that filter in the search bar. Whatever you just saw Furiosa. Furiosa just got my review up. Furiosa movie review. Change the filter to today. Scroll down, dig, find that channel that has 5 views. Find that video that has 5 views. Look at the subscriber count. See how it relates to your subscriber count. See if you're in the same kind of boat, right? And then comment on their video. But don't just comment something generic. Like actually leave a thought, leave encouragement, like start to build a communication with that person, right? And like when I started to really notice growth on my channel was when I started to connect with people around my channel size. The first person that ever really left an impact on my comment section was Zach Guller. And Zach Guller has been on the channel. He's a great friend of mine, great YouTube personality as well, great movie reviewer. Go check out his channel. He left a comment on my video, and I went to his channel, and we were around the exact same size when I found Zach Guller's channel, or when he found me. And then we just started commenting back and forth on each other's videos. And then we started to form this friendship. We started talking off YouTube on social media, and then he invited me onto his channel. And like that's kind of where that started for me was, all right, like Zach Guller found me, I need to go find people like Zach Guller found me. And then like that really opened the gates for relationships on YouTube, because YouTube, you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
If you do, it's a very lonely, of course, it's a very lonely and in some ways depressing journey.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
you need to find people that you can relate to talk to. Everyone needs help with this. Everyone can learn from people about this. So yeah, if I could go back and say like a lesson that I've learned is don't do it alone, and reach out and find other people around your size and grow together. I think that's very important as well.
Okay.
So
I agree
I
too.
will say, oh, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead, T. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like Zach, and I said this on my interview. If you wouldn't have commented, you commented on maybe like 3 of my videos because I was getting 0 comments, and like all of the people say, "Oh, you should do YouTube." They don't watch, right? Like those are the
Yeah,
people they say you should do it.
exactly.
They don't watch.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you commented on 3 of my videos, and I'm like, man, once like who is this guy, right? I see your picture, and I'm like, I don't know him. Like you would assume that it's people who's gonna actually watch your videos. And I went to your channel, and you had like I don't remember how many subscribers, but you had significantly more than me, right? And I'm like, man, why is this guy looking at my channel? So then I started watching live streaming. I met a lot of people, and Kenny said it, like a lot of people have that story where you came on people's channels, like when we're first starting out, and that self-doubt is coming to your head. And because somebody bigger than you is like, hey, oh, good review, like, oh, and you said you don't leave just a good review comment. Oh, I really like what you did here. I like what you said here. So it meant you watched it, right? Like you at least watched the few minutes to get a thoughtful comment in there. And that matters. Like that really matters. Even if you don't do it for the subscribers, just having somebody who's listened to your thoughts, because you're on here to give your thoughts on something, right? So you want your
Mhm.
thoughts to be validated in any channel, especially a channel that's bigger than yours, just going down and saying, hey, really good review. I liked your structure. I liked whatever it was, that helped me. That kept me going because I was just going to stop because it just like this is, I don't think this is ever going to be something that financially sets me apart from anything else.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, it's like, man, are people even watching this? And then I saw those reviews and I was like, man, that's really cool. Somebody's watching it. And then one became two, two became three, and it just
Yeah.
is going
Yeah.
on from there. And that's really awesome. Like, so I definitely want to thank you because if it weren't for you, I would have stopped probably a year ago. I would have stopped
Mm.
4 or 5 months in because it just wasn't. And it's not because I wasn't getting subscribers, because that's not really why I do it, but it's a validation, right?
Of
Oh man,
course.
somebody listened
Yeah.
to that thought, and you don't have to have the same opinion because it could be something that you totally disagree on, but like at least you listen to the idea, you listen to the concept, and then we have a talk, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate that a lot, man. Honestly, like that's really, I don't know. People have said that to me before, and I always find it so baffling. Like I wouldn't have kept going YouTube if you hadn't left a comment. It's so crazy because like my all I wanted to do was first of all, I was listening to like Jeremy Johns, Chris Duckman, 3C Films, John Camp. All I was getting the same opinions over and over and over again. And I wanted to branch out and I wanted to find new voices and new opinions. And one of the things that became a passion, and it's still a passion of mine actually, is if someone doesn't have any comments or if they have like really low views, I like jumping in there and giving the encouragement because I remember what it was like. I remember starting in 2019. I remember until 2023, my movie reviews didn't crack over 30 views. I remember that feeling. I remember having fun making them, but I remember how it felt when it was like
Yeah.
I'm making this, I'm putting effort into it, and nothing's really coming back feedback wise. So I just kind of got passionate about like I'm gonna leave comments on these people's videos. I'm gonna encourage them. I want them to keep going. And I still do that and I still love doing that and stuff. But I never had any intention and never thought that it was gonna be like the reason why people kept going is because I left a comment.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that, man, a lot. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Um
I'm gonna
Thank you.
piggyback off of what T was saying too, because like I had watched the your Kenny Sparks video, and it's something that's been weighing on my mind as well. I agree, man. Zach, you were referencing other content creators. Dude, you're one of the pioneers of YouTube, especially at this level. No lie, for real, because like very similar to what you did with T, you fought commented on mine as well. I reached out back to you as well. And since then, you've been bringing these communities together at a level that not a lot of people are doing. Like your Zach Milne, like everything that we do on Saturdays and everything that you do on Wednesdays, you are legit bringing your community together. Like I said, no one else is doing it. So, my friend, I'm telling you, you're also in that conversation for one of the YouTube pioneers.
Oh man, that's very sweet. That's a little too sweet of you to say, but I really do appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for that. And for the next half of the show, because we're 30 minutes in, so we only go for an hour. Just want to let people know in the chat that we only go for an hour on these shows because I want to respect our guests' time as well. We're going to get into the comments and questions now, and we're going to talk advice. We may not be able to answer every question. We may have questions ourselves from your questions. But before we get into, because I'll let people start throwing in some questions and we'll get that filled up a little bit more. Before we get into that, is there anything that you guys would, like off the top of your heads, like advice that comes to mind? Like Ryan, is there anything that you would say to someone if they came up to you and said, I want to do YouTube, what should I do? Or what should I think about?
Like YouTube in general or YouTube for movies?
YouTube for movies.
YouTube for movies. Well, I guess see what you want to see. Like in turn, like you are as an independent, film critic, you have the privilege and benefit of getting to choose what you see and when you see it. And I think people will best relate when you are passionate about what you want to watch. Personally, for me, I kind of have it's in theater. All right, what time? Like I'll be there. but for some people, I recognize that isn't their style. Some are more like action movie, rom-com, etc. Just find something you really want to talk about and talk about, I think.
I love that. That's really good advice. How about you, Ace?
Ryan touched base on the, from the movie side. As someone who does multiple topics on my channel, find your niche. You know what I'm saying? Find what you like to do and talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and put in the effort because, like J. Cole has said, success is in the effort at the end of the day. Like, you're going to put in time doing this. It becomes very daunting where you just think to yourself, like, wow, this is like, it becomes like work. You know what I'm saying? But as long as you're having fun, that's how, and as long as you're enjoying it, that's how I engage how successful I do and how successful my channel is, despite the numbers. The numbers are, they're there. You're going to look at them. But I wouldn't have that as the be all end all. I would gauge it on how well your community is and how much fun you're having doing it. Because if you're not enjoying it, then it becomes like work. And then nobody wants to work, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to that. But that's what I would say. Find your niche and just enjoy what you do.
Absolutely. How about you, T?
I would just say, don't worry about everybody else, right? Like, don't number watch to the point where it's like, oh man, Zach has 2,000 followers and I have 100. Like that's all relative. Like that person could have been doing it 5 years. That person could have been doing 5 months. There are people who came after me and they already have, they've cracked 1,000 subscribers. And that's fine, right? Like one thing I learned in the military is like, I'd rather go to war with 5 people who are gonna run through that wall for me than 5,000 people who are just kind of there hanging out and like you said, like your community matters, and just have fun. Like I do this because I truly love doing this. I carve out time because my schedule is precious. It's like
Yeah.
I don't have that much free time to just do something that I don't enjoy. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't invest in it. I wouldn't try to, get lighting and stuff like that. Once again, I'm not doing this to be a social media darling. And I don't think anybody should go into it with that because this is a very niche, like movie reviews are a very niche thing. And unless you're gonna put in a lot of time for it, like Jeremy Johns, those guys have been doing it for 10 plus years.
I think Jeremy
Like,
Johns is 15.
yeah,
Oh,
15 years.
exactly. Like, and I can guarantee his first year. I mean, that's the infancy of YouTube, but like, it took him years to get that following. It's going to take you years, and that's dedication. And that, like, a lot of people now want instant success, right? You want to put out a video and video go viral, and it just changes your life. That's not the way YouTube works anymore. I don't think, like, because it's so saturated with so many, there's thousands of movie, like, and once you get in it, because at first I was like, I've never seen a black person review movies on YouTube until I started doing it. And then that's when the algorithm found me all those people. Like it was like, oh man, okay, there's actually a community of people of color who do movie reviews. I swear to you, I've never seen it before I started. So I thought I was like doing something different, right? I thought I was doing something unique. No, there's a million of us, right? There's like, so just be who you are. Don't do it for the fame, because the fame may or may not come. It might come for you, who knows? But like, do it because you love. Like, I love watching movies. If I stop YouTube tomorrow, I'm not gonna stop watching movies. I'm gonna continue. That's my zen place. That's where I love to go and just turn off the world, right? The lights go down, my phone goes silent, and I turn off the world and I get sucked into a different world, right? That's why I love movies. And I love talking about it. Like, I have to love doing this in order to do it. And I would suggest that for other people. Don't do it for the wrong reasons. Do it because it's something you enjoy doing. So it's not a job, right? It's something you enjoy. And then you get to meet some cool people. I got to meet all you guys, and I really enjoy this community.
Same.
Thank you.
Likewise, man.
Good meeting you too.
And all beautifully said. And I think I'll just kind of take like what all you guys said and kind of just put it into a similar kind of package. And I'll just say, like, don't add unnecessary stress. I mean, like, oh, I need to get the video out now. People are waiting. People aren't waiting. I hate to say it, but like when you're a smaller channel, people aren't waiting. The only person who knows the video is coming out is you. If you have to take time on it, take time on it. If you have other responsibilities you need to do, don't negate them. Don't push people away. Don't lose your real life relationships for the social media personality that you want to be. Like, take your time on things. If you need to step away, if you're getting frustrated and you need to step away, step away. It's okay to take breaks from YouTube. Don't overwork yourself. Or you're gonna get burnt out. You're gonna get burnt out if you do that, and it's not gonna be fun anymore. So yeah, kind of taking everything that you guys said and putting it into that kind of package. That would be my advice for sure. And with that, let's get into some of these questions because we've got quite a bit of people here, and appreciate all you guys being here. The Laser, that horror dude, Toxic Gamer, Nathan's Random Movies, Daily Reacts Gaming, Sully Streams, Film Review Central, Tyler Calvert, View with Drew, 80s Kid from 90s, Geek What, Collective Movie Man, beloved channel member. Yeah, just all you guys. Thank you so much. We're gonna focus on more questions for YouTube because that's kind of what we're talking about today. But appreciate all you guys being here. We see all your comments. We see everything coming in. Thank you guys so much. So we're going to start with 80s Kid from the 90s. He's asking, are Saturdays the best time to work on videos? Well, I would say it depends on your schedule.
Same. Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
It's
I mean,
Yeah.
I tend to work on videos after work a lot, which I'm off at 4 p.m. usually, so I get home by like 5. So I usually have time in the evening to do things, but everyone's kind of dealt different cards. Like some people work into the evenings and work on videos in the morning or in the late afternoon. Yeah, it all depends on when you can work on it, and it's also something you got to dedicate time to. Like, I think that's something that's really important to emphasize as well, is that it's funny because I do movie reviews and I talk about movies and TV on the channel, and that's kind of what that's what my channel is about. In order to put out as much as I do or as much as I want to, I have to sacrifice watching movies and TV. And it's kind of this like irony thing where it's like, okay, I have an hour of time here. Do I put on an episode of a show or do I finish this video that I'm working on? Well, I'm going to finish this video I'm working on. I'm going to sacrifice the TV show. So yeah, you got to make it work with your schedule depending on what it is. Do you guys have anything to add to that?
I would say, yeah, I used to try to, I was, Zach, you hit on it. I used to try to get my videos out on Friday. So people, because like the whole premise of like the way I structure my things is, should you pay for it in the movie theater, right? So I was like, man, let me get it out on the weekend before people are going to the movies. And I just realized a lot of people don't go to the first day of movies like I do. Like I talked to people a lot of people at work Monday morning. They're like, no, I didn't go see that because like everybody's not the first day of the movie guy. So I've realized, like, honestly, for me, Sundays work the best more than anything because Saturdays are usually jam packed with the wife needs something done in the house, the kid, like that's quality family time. And Sundays kind of everybody's day of rest at least in my house. And that's when I can break away and like editing takes a long time. Like putting a script together takes a long time for me sometimes. So like I said, it really depends on your schedule. If Saturdays work best for you, that's great. But like a lot of people aren't consuming that content on the weekends. I've noticed like Monday, Tuesday afterwards when they have a little more.
People are busy. People
Yes,
have things they're doing on the weekend.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it really depends. But yeah, it's really about what works best for you.
Absolutely. Ace, Ryan, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, again, sort of like you guys said, just whenever you have the time to work on it, and however long it takes you that time to do it. And if I might also add, don't worry about trying to do preview screenings because I've done a few. They're sometimes about 2 weeks out. And I thought, oh, if I do that, I can, get a leg up, get more views. And I don't know, it's a toss up whether it does or doesn't work. So I guess the moral of the story, just don't stress out about it. You see it when you see it.
That's actually really good to hear because sometimes I think comparison will kill I try not to compare to anyone's channel, anyone's like output and stuff like that, because that like you just get in your head and that really hurts you mentally. But there are definitely times where I'm like, man, if I like they got to see it 2 days early, like oh man, like earlier is so much better. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes earlier doesn't make a difference. And so that's really good advice, Ryan. That's really
Yeah.
good. Well said.
I just think put out the videos when you're feeling productive as well. If you're just getting up and you're feeling like, okay, I want to be productive and I feel like today's going to be a good day. If you have time, do it. You don't have, and this is the thing, you're recording it by yourself, unless you're doing live streams. Then you don't have to get it out all in one day. You know what I'm saying? Like if you do a little bit here, do a little bit there, it's okay. The big channels even do the same thing. You don't have to put the pressure on yourself. You listen to Watch Mojo. They have different voice actors on there all the time. They're not knocking their stuff out in one day. Don't put that added pressure on yourself to have to put it out the same day. You know what I'm saying? Take your time. Like I admired what Zach did a couple weeks ago. Zach was like, okay, I'm going to take my time on the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And I'm sure your first take was amazing. You know what I'm saying? But, you know,
I didn't think
you
so.
had confidence in your second take. And sometimes that's what it takes. Just take your time. Don't put pressure on yourself to say, I have to put this out or I have to work on it. Like schedule is big. You know, whenever you have free time, do it and just put it out on your time, because your subscribers, and you're going to get new subscribers, but your subscribers want to know your thoughts. That's what's most important.
Very well said. The Geek What says, hey guys, just now joining the stream, so not sure if you talked about it, but how do you battle the fatigue of the feeling of having to constantly put out content? That's a pretty good, I mean, honestly, and like people think it's easier said than done, but honestly, it's really easy. If you're just feeling fatigued, don't put anything out. Don't make a video.
Yeah.
Like,
Burnout's
honestly,
real.
like it's going to be better in the long run. If you're like, I don't feel like doing this right now, don't do it. Just take some time, take a break. Like I said, like the pressure that you feel of like people are waiting for me or I need to get this out, it's a false pressure. It's not truth. It's only true in your head. And it's going to come through on your video if you're tired, if you're not feeling like doing it, if your passion, if your energy is not there. And videos, I mean, unless you delete them, they're up forever. Like people come to your channel, hey, look, a video, I'm going to click on it. Maybe someone for the very first time is clicking on that video and their first introduction to you is like, so I saw Kingdom of Planet of the Apes on Friday and I thought it was quite good. And it's like, oh, well, this guy doesn't seem like he's into this at all. I'm clicking off. Like, you want to be the best you can be for a video that's going to be on here forever. So yeah, definitely, if you're feeling that fatigue, if you're feeling that, step away. Just step away. That's what I would say. Do you guys have anything to add to that?
I agree, because the burnout aspect is real.
Yes,
you will get burned out doing this. You don't have to do everything. Like, I understand, you know what I'm saying, us as movie content creators, you want to hit every movie, but sometimes you might just have to say, you know what, I'm going to take this one off because, you know, and then, you know, you have family members and other things that you have to do. Other people are watching us, but they're not, I don't think they fully sometimes understand the concept of we're putting in the work to do this, and we're humans as well. We do need our downtime and our time to recharge our batteries. Sometimes that's taking a break. Sometimes that's going out with your family, going out with a wife or girlfriend, spending time with your kids, to be able to re-energize yourself, to be able to give you guys the energy that you know what I'm saying, that you expect us to have. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't catch a movie as a content creator, don't sweat it. You know what I'm saying? Get the next one.
Yeah. Very well said.
Yeah, and also, I mean, for that, I feel that too, because I mean, there are two occasions where I saw a movie and I didn't review it. The first one was that Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre movie. That movie, it was just a movie, and going home from it, I was like, I don't know how to review this, and I'm not going to review it. And the other time, though, was actually Challengers, which was very different. I really enjoyed that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of 2024. But I didn't review it because it kind of reminds me. There's this of this scene from The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. It involves Sean Penn. He plays like this photographer, and at one point, Ben Stiller's character, he meets him, and he's like in the tundra photographing jaguars and stuff. And at one point, you know, an animal rolls into the frame, and Ben's like, "Why aren't you taking the photo?" To which Sean Penn's like, "Sometimes the visual is just so great, you just gotta sit back and appreciate it." that's how I've felt on more than one occasion when it comes to movies. Like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, I didn't review that. I saw it with friends. I was like, you know what? I don't need it to be a review. I could just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Very well said. T, do you have anything to add to that, or?
No, I think you guys really hit it. I used to try to hit every movie. I would try to hit every big streaming movie too. That's so exhausting, especially like because you still have a life. Like you're still.
Yeah.
It was easier as I was retiring. I had a podcast first too, where I would just talk. I would talk for like an hour, but I would always do it at night. And I had a friend who I'm talking about like late at night when my kids were asleep. He's like, man, you sound like you sound. I'm already low energy. Like I'm not the high energy guy. But like he was like, man, it sounds like you're trying to, sneak and put this thing out. And I was like, I am, because my kids are in the next room and I'm trying not to wake them up. I don't have a big move like a studio where it's soundproof or anything like that. So, and I noticed at night, like it's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm doing these, and I'm exhausted, and I would hear it in my voice, like, man, like you sound exhausted, and people would tell me that, and I just stopped doing that because it wasn't like it was a waste of my time because I'm putting out low energy, low frequency content
Yeah.
that only like my true friends listen to, and they would telling me like, yo, you need to pick it up. Like you're already low, don't go lower, So
Yeah.
definitely find the time and don't battle your fatigue. Get your rest and do it energized, like Ace said, like you have to want to do it. You have to energize yourself in order to do these things. But don't do it like I did it in the middle of the night. I stopped doing that, like
Me
trying to do
too.
it
Yeah.
when my kids asleep. Like it shows.
Yeah. I did I went and saw Rise of Gru with my family, and then went out and hung out with my family, went back to their place, and then came back home, and it was like 1 in the morning, almost 2 o'clock. And I was like, I saw Rise of Gru, I gotta shoot the review. And I shot the review and I edited it and I put it up. And like, look, perception changes when you're not tired, because I went the next day to watch the video back, and the whole video was shot like this.
Oh,
The camera was on an angle the entire time, and it looked like my house was completely on its side. It was terrible.
You could have leaned
So,
into that. You
yeah.
could have leaned into that. Like, hey, new
Hey.
shooting style. Like, hey.
The Dutch angle. It's what filmmakers do, right?
yeah.
Geek What's also asking, what do you guys think when it comes to the motto of evolve or die? What do you think you guys are doing to elevate your content, to push your content to the next level? That's a good question. Does anyone want to start?
What is the next level? That's the question I would have to,
true.
like, what is the
Yeah.
what is your concept of the next level?
And
Like
everybody's is
evolve,
different.
yeah, like
Yeah.
YouTube changes, the way people views content change, that is true. But at the same time, like I hate using Jeremy Johns as like the rule. Like he hasn't I started watching him 2 years ago and his style is the exact same. Like I don't think he's changed anything. He's the same. Like everybody that I've watched, I don't, with the exception of Chris Stuckman, right? With his whole rule of not being critical of movies. That's the only change I've seen between, my evolution was just getting better, right? Making it look better. Like that's the next level to me, is making it look as clean as it possibly can look and make sure my sound is good too. But everybody's next level is different. So my motto, like, I'm gonna watch movies. Like the format might change over time because I might have a different thought. Like I might have a different idea, but I don't think that I need to evolve or I need to change because of the algorithm. Like I don't believe in it.
Yeah, because then you stop making content for yourself. I mean, you're just trying to, you're not going to enjoy it. The way you evolve is by doing things differently. Like whether it's editing, I'm saying, like, okay, I'm going to add this, I'm saying, and I like doing this, so I'm going to continue doing that. But you could also evolve by adding new things to your channel. I'm saying, like making movies, I'm saying, making stuff. And then like Zach does, I'm going to start bringing people on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you evolve differently by doing different things. So I'm not going to sit here and say like you have to continue to do the same thing over and over, or you have to look for that next big thing. It will come to you. Just do what you enjoy, and like I said, eventually you'll find your way.
Yeah. And I think also, I mean, the YouTube Studio app, get that. If you don't have the YouTube Studio app on your phone and doing YouTube, definitely look at that, getting into that. It shows you analytics, it gives you a bunch of information. And I would say like it's hard sometimes to learn it, but take the time to learn it. Watch some videos. I think some YouTube channels that are really good is like Nick Nimmin is someone I watch a lot who gives YouTube advice. There's a Video IQ has a great channel for that as well. And the Think Media is really good. Their YouTube channel that gives tons of YouTube advice, tons of YouTube tools. Definitely check out Think Media as well. But go into your analytics, look at your videos, and like I said before, comparison will kill, but comparison to yourself will thrive. Because if you look at your video after you post it, watch it as a viewer. And sometimes people say like, you know, you're your own worst critic as a negative. That can be a positive. Look at your video. Where can you improve? If you're clicking on this video as someone who doesn't know who you are, how are you perceiving that video? Or is your introduction good? Do you come up like first impressions are important? Do I come off charismatic? Do I look like I'm scared in front of the camera? Do I need to work on my presentation skills? Is my editing clean? Do I have little hiccups that I need to put the effort into fixing and looking into? How does it flow? I mean, one of the things that I started doing with my movie reviews a little while back was I tried to be the Chris Stuckman person. I tried to analyze. I tried to look like talk about camera shots and all that kind of stuff. And that just didn't really like hit with people. People didn't really connect with that. And my whatever you call it, the algorithm, the lines of the viewership, the duration, that's what it is. Like it was really low. Like people were not sticking around for the video. So I was kind of looking at it from more of an audience perspective. And I was like, all right, well, people who click on this video, they already know what they're looking for. So I don't have to say this is a movie review for this because they've read the title. So I just started jumping right into the movie. I was just like, hey, boom, this movie's out in theaters. All right, here's what I started thinking about it. The good, and my viewership or my duration started to climb. People were watching the video longer because it was like I clicked for a movie review. Oh, I'm instantly in the movie review. So that's something that worked for me. That's something that I noticed in my videos that wasn't working, that I evolved. And from there on, my viewer count also got bigger because the watch time was longer, and watch time is important too. But yeah, so definitely, I do think that there is credit to the evolve or die, but I don't think it's so much as like you got to do what other people are doing. It's more so evolving on yourself and on your skill set.
Yeah, I agree. And
Absolutely.
take advantage of the other platforms as well, because you know Instagram and the reels and stuff like that, shorts. You know what I'm saying? Like all that stuff, it's all at your disposal. You got to just take advantage of all that stuff, and it's just different ways to do things.
It is exhausting though, I will say. Like I've tried to be on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube Shorts, clipping out like all of its time consuming, all of its energy, and some like I stopped doing a lot of TikTok stuff because TikTok wasn't really moving over to YouTube, and it was just extra time. So yeah, definitely see where things are working and where things aren't working, and be ready to adjust and pivot. That's what I would say. Ryan, do you have anything to add to that or anything?
I mean, I guess something with evolve or die. I mean, I guess my background, like my first video was just me like in my college dorm room, so I didn't have much in the way of decoration or even decent lighting. Like this was I got as a nice birthday gift from a good friend. I mean, I guess in terms of just equipment and background, you kind of just acquire it over time. Like this, I mean, like this bookshelf back here, this was probably like the biggest investment I ever made for this channel. I bought it like a few months back, and it took me way longer than I would care to admit to put it up. But personally, I like the way it looks, and it's nice to use even when I'm not doing YouTube.
Yeah,
perfect.
I'm gonna ask you guys a quick question because Ryan just motivated me a question. Because obviously there are a lot of people on here that are inspiring YouTubers and stuff like that. What would be the first thing that you guys would invest in if you had this time to start over?
If I like at the time when I started, I couldn't invest. I didn't really. I mean, audio is important for sure.
Mhm.
I would
Mhm.
say audio, and because YouTube's visually, I would say not necessarily like buy new lighting or buy the best lighting equipment, but definitely take time to work on your lighting. Lighting was something
Yeah.
is still something that I have trouble with. And I think lighting is very important. And I would have lit my videos a lot better. My early videos was just like a desk lamp that I had. So the light was only on my forehead. So it was like dark and then a bright spotlight right here. So I'd probably change that. Yeah, I'd probably work on working on lighting if I could back then.
Oh, I think you're muted,
You're
T.
muted, T.
Oh,
I muted myself.
You're good.
So yeah, the first thing the first thing I bought was a camera. I would stick with that. Like the lighting is great, but I think I mean if you have an iPhone, I think iPhones are
oh yeah.
more than sufficient enough.
If you've got a
Yeah.
phone like an Android or an iPhone, anything like that, you've already got a camera that you can start with.
Correct. But yeah, the what I wouldn't do is waste money on lighting like I did because I went to Think Media and all these other places that say all of these things that you should buy, and I bought bad lighting, right? So definitely do your research.
Yeah.
First thing I would, if I was starting again, I would buy lighting. Like I would get the right lights because I have a phone, and with the right lights, your phone could look better than most cameras is gonna look. Your phone's gonna look immaculate with the right light. So yeah, I would invest in lighting, but definitely do your research and don't just go off the first video you watch, or don't just go off the Amazon,
Yeah.
stars because they sell you bad stuff all the time. You'll waste money.
And don't get stuck on equipment too. Like I would honestly just say if you're gonna start, just start. See if you like it. Because you might think you'll like
true.
it. You might think like I'm gonna like YouTube. I'm gonna buy this and this and this and this and get a and then you spent like hundreds or thousands of dollars and all of a sudden you realize, you know what? YouTube takes a lot of energy that I don't actually enjoy
I don't
doing YouTube anymore. So yeah, I would just
Yeah.
start and see if you like it. Because no matter if you buy the equipment first and make your place look immaculate and your set's awesome, you're still starting with 0 subscribers and 0 views. Either way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like let things happen gradually. And we'll take one more question and then we'll jump off because we are at the hour mark and I want to respect you guys' time. But I like this question because it kind of lets us get into how we make our YouTube. Because Collective Movie Man's asking, if you have an iPhone, would you recommend getting an iPad for your video creation stuff or computer or Microsoft? So I'll start off with what I do with YouTube. I literally just shoot all my movie reviews on my phone. I've not upgraded my camera or anything yet. I haven't really felt the need to, and everything is edited on iMovie. And I use Canva for my thumbnails. I use Canva to make some graphics that I'll put into iMovie and add to the video. But like YouTube has always been free. Like movie review wise, I've never really spent anything to make a movie review. It's all free software on my phone. My phone, I already have it. Canva, I do pay monthly for to make the thumbnails, but that came later on. And then for the live streams, StreamYard, you can get a free version of StreamYard and you can just jump on StreamYard right there and then. If your laptop has a built-in camera, it works. I do have a Logitech camera or webcam that I use for streaming. That's probably the most I've put into streaming was it was about $50 for this. I think it was on sale. And I've used it for like 2 years now. I think it works great. This is what I'm using now. And yeah, so what kind of how do you guys make your videos? What do you guys use, Ace?
PC. I went ahead and invested in the PC. Have a decent setup, like I said, my lightings and stuff like that, microphone. Mic was definitely the one thing that I was definitely going to spend a little bit more money on because you definitely want good audio quality. So
yeah.
I did my homework on that because people will listen to you, especially when I do my sports. People will listen to you more than they'll look at you. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely made sure do your homework. That's like Zach was saying. Make sure you do your homework. Watch YouTube videos, you know what I'm saying, see what other people have, stuff like that. But my setup is pretty much like that. I use Canva as well, StreamYard. I pay for the upgraded features because
Me too.
you know it's very helpful, like what you can do. And Canva will be your best friend as a content creator. I'll tell you that. I wish like when I first got started, I had a couple people that were editors and stuff like that, and I asked them, I was like, hey, any recommendations on how I'm trying to get started? First thing they told me, two different people told me DaVinci Resolve and Canva will be your best friends. And they told me get ahead of DaVinci because they were like, DaVinci's kind of what everybody's going to be moving towards. So there's no point of backtracking. And once I started learning that, I was like, okay, I love this. Canva is a lifesaver. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
with the background remover itself for making thumbnails, it's
Oh,
just it's worth it
beautiful.
alone. Because then if you didn't, you'd have to edit all that stuff out yourself. You can do it.
I
but
did
it's
that
very
for like 2
time-consuming.
years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So just the $12.99 alone, it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, don't be afraid to invest in money in yourself. If you feel like this is right, but at the same time
Yeah.
too, time you'll invest the stuff that you need.
Yeah, it took me a couple of years to start investing. Like I do have a PC as well. I got that like 3 years back. That like just it makes the live streams go so much smoother and stuff on my end. And yeah, definitely I have started to put some money into it, but I like not right away. I would
Mhm.
not recommend doing it right away. Ryan, what do you use to create?
So currently now, I have a Mac I bought about 2 years ago. It was a replacement for my old laptop, which desperately needed to go the way of old Yeller because it was sad and slow. As for audio, I mean, like I have like a little just microphone port that I plug into my laptop. I'm currently off of my laptop right now. That's
Oh,
that's the keyboard.
man, come on, man. This ain't that type
Okay,
of
so
show, Ryan.
That doesn't.
Sorry.
There is TikTok, there's Instagram, there's YouTube Shorts, there's also OnlyFans. So don't negate.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm-
sorry.
I'm
My
just
apologies,
glad
my
that
apologies.
I'm just glad that Ryan's not like Tom Holland and he's wearing pants on the stream. 'cause,
Yeah.
My apologies.
Aren't your
my
mom and
apologies.
dad watching, Ryan? I thought you mentioned that.
But I'm sorry. I digress. But
Yeah,
anyway,
we're just joking around.
Mhm.
anyway. But yeah, like I said, I also have a lighting scheme. Like it's just a simple, like little gaff lighting. It just even lighting really helps. A lot of my old videos, I look like I was in a hostage situation. Trying to be like, please, I'm being held against my will and forced to talk about movies. I use iMovie, and like for my thumbnails, I don't have Canva. Maybe I'll look into it. Right now, I just use like PowerPoint.
Okay.
Like that it's remarkably simple because like basically all I'll do is at the end of my video, I'll just let the video record and I'll just try and angle to the right or left and then just edit in the film poster and I've got a thumbnail. I've experimented with sometimes I'll put text like movie reviews with Ryan Lanes Presents, but I don't know, it just got too cluttered. And again, I feel like I'd have to maybe upgrade to Canva if I wanted to do that. With PowerPoint, just 2 photos, like a photo of myself with the background and a poster. It just
Perfect. And T, how about you? What do you use to create?
So I'm a cautionary tale. I've spent a lot of money on my setup. It's because I'm a tech guy. Before I did movies, like before I started YouTube, I love tech. Like I grew up in the 80s. I grew up as technology grew. So I've spent like I'm a Mac person too. I'm an Apple. I'm one of the Apple stands. Like so, if I would suggest anybody to invest in anything for video editing, if you don't want to invest in an iPad, because I've tried to edit stuff on iPad, it becomes a little daunting. I would suggest investing in the Mac, right? Like because of the computing power, especially if you're using an iPhone. If you have an iPhone, it just works. If you can edit it on your phone, I know people who edit stuff on their phone and it still looks great. Like CapCut, I love CapCut now. I bought Final Cut Pro. That was a terrible idea because it works. I've tried to use DaVinci Resolve. That's a different learning curve than Final Cut Pro. Those 2 things just didn't in my brain. They just didn't mesh together. But CapCut, super simple. Like with the free version of CapCut, you could do a lot. Like if you're just doing this right here and just editing down, front facing videos, like CapCut works. The free version of that works. But if you're gonna invest in tech for video editing, I would suggest invest in a MacBook Air. Like they have the M2, M3 MacBook Airs now. They cost just as much as an iPad, if not less than some iPads. And you're gonna have that for like 6-7 years. I've had my first MacBook until I invested in a new one last year. I've had that. I had my first MacBook for like 7 years, which is unheard of with me with PCs. I've bought tons of PCs, and for some reason, and this is after LimeWire and BearShare that would get all the viruses. Like for some reason, those PCs had like a good shelf life for like 2 or 3 years at the most. For me, when you update it from Windows 7 to Windows 10, like some laptops just stop working. Same thing
Yeah.
with Windows 11.
Yeah.
But with a MacBook, that's gonna work. That's at least at the very minimum you're gonna get 5 to 6 years out of that MacBook. So I would suggest investing in that if you have the money. If not, you could literally do it all on your phone.
Yeah.
Like,
And ring lights,
magic-
like $20 on a
Yes.
ring light can get you
Oh,
pretty decent lighting and a stand. So ring
Correct.
lights definitely work.
I recommend
Correct.
green screen too. I'm one of those green screen guys, like, because you guys displays and backgrounds look immaculate and well set up to your personalities. But for me, it's like I just like the ability to be able to switch things up and
Mhm.
just, like at any drop of a dime, I can just be like, okay, cool, right here.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Bring down this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, green screen was one of the first things that I invested in. But at the same time, too, with green screen, you got to make sure the lighting's good. But ring
Yes.
lights, I recommend that. I got like 3 or 4 sitting around. So,
Yeah. Excellent. All right.
All
With that, I think we've gone a little overtime. So thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you guys for being members. And thank you guys so much for being in the chat, asking the questions, and just hanging out with us. Just so you guys know, this is a show we do over on the members page for $2.99 a month. You guys can watch us every Saturday at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time live. You can ask questions. You can jump in the chat. The edited version does go up on Mondays. And for $6.99, you can join us on the show. If you want to be one of the panelists, if you want to chat with us, you can join the $6.99 tier a month and join us every Saturday. All the information is down in the description below. With that, guys, tell people where they can find you. Find the channels that you guys have been talking about for an hour so beautifully. T, we'll start with you.
All right. Well, you can find me at the Have You Seen That with T YouTube channel. And I'm glad you did this because in about 45 minutes, I'm going to be doing my second live stream where I'm going to be talking about it's a summer movie preview. Me and the Ace Avenue, he's actually going to be on the channel with me. We're going to talk about all of the summer movies, what we're excited for on the Have You Seen That with T YouTube channel. I'm really excited about this. The first time I did my live stream, I was sick, so it did not go well. But this time it's going to go a lot better. I hope to see y'all there. And yeah.
Amazing. And the Ace, where can they find you besides on T's channel in like 45 minutes?
Yeah, I'll be on there. It's gonna be a good time. You can find me at the Ace Avenue, DAACE Avenue, for your sports and movie content by yours truly.
Perfect. And Ryan.
You can find me on YouTube and Letterboxd at Movie Reviews with Ryan Lane. I put out about 2 movie reviews a week, and I'll have my Furiosa review available sometime today.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I'm going to shoot my Furiosa review later today as well. And yeah, guys, thank you again so much for joining us. Thank you guys all for being members and for being here. And we'll catch you guys again next time. Take care.
All right.